Hello and welcome back. I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Welcome back to this channel. My name is Mandy Magnan. I'm a actor, writer, producer, and director in Toronto, a movie reviewer, pop culture, and your YouTube commentator for everything It Ends With Never. Without any time to spare, we are going into part 4 of the motion of summary judgment. If you haven't seen the other parts, it starts with 1 with the memorandum of law in support of the summary judgment. Part 2 is the depositions by the Wayfarer men. Part 3 was the first phase of filming, and now this will be hopefully the 4th and final phase, and we are going into phase 2. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Grab your emotional support lip gloss. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. I was asked in the comments what Burt's Bees I like to use. These are my favorite gloss and glows. These really help if you want a little bit of color, but also deep hydration. So whenever I'm feeling like my lips are a little bit dry, I always turn to these Burt's Bees Gloss and Glow. The pink one that I usually use is shade 900, Winning and Pink, but also there's this like kind of darker pink one, and this is shade 905, Chai Time. So these are really good if you want tint, but you also want moisture and gloss. These are Burt's Bees Gloss and Glows. And now we're just getting right into it. We ended off with Justin Baldoni's heartbreaking text after that January 4th meeting where Ryan Reynolds berated him like a 5-year-old for 6 hours. I can't even with Ryan Reynolds, because if you just saw the last video I posted today, it's all about the mainstream media literally twisting and turning to always be against Wayfarer and in support of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. It looks completely bought. It's fake PR. It's so absurd, but we're getting into it. We are going to start in phase 2, and this is the Wayfarer Rule 56.1. Now we continue after the infamous January 4th meeting where Ryan Reynolds truly showed his cards. I mean, this is the multiple time now that he has done it. We already know for sure that he berated Justin Baldoni in pre-production when Justin Baldoni inquired privately about Blake Lively's weight, and then he did it again here. Now there are some rumors floating around that they record inside of their penthouse like Lively and Reynolds does. They have like cameras and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see if they're trying to use any of this against them, but that would be very interesting because we know that Justin Baldoni had late night writing sessions and rehearsals with Blake Lively in that penthouse. So maybe that's what made Ryan Reynolds so angry and upset. But also, you know, Isabella Ferrer had sleepovers there. So maybe they have stuff on her too. I don't know. But anyway, I'm just here. We're going to go over Rule 56.1 until further information comes out. And of course, we're going to get an opposition to this, right, from the Lively people, which will be quite interesting on how they try to spin this. I'm sure they're going to try to use the same thing, that it has nothing to do with extortion, has nothing to do with the post-production, it has nothing to do with this. Okay. Here we go. After making her protections demands, Lively revised several scenes to be more sexually charged than its redacted. In a revision of redacted, Lively explained that she was trying to, in her revised scene, later the characters are described as, so she's over here rewriting sexy into the script and sex into the script, okay? In another December 2023 revision, Lively directed Baldoni's character to say, dun dun dun. The second phase of filming, including all of Lively's intimate scenes, proceeded without incident. So all of the Blake stans and all of the Blake supporters and all of the people that aren't seeing it yet, in phase 1, when Blake Lively concocted the 17-point list of demands, which then turned into a 30-point list of demands in the meeting, she had yet to record any intimate scenes. Nothing yet. So those list of demands, they were like, yeah, okay, we haven't done any of that stuff yet because we haven't shot any of this stuff, and the stuff that you are requesting, we already have in place for when we shoot those scenes. So this is weird, right? Production resumed on January 5th, 2024. That's through Angie Giannotti. The second phase of filming took place primarily on a New Jersey set and with an additional days in California. That day, Lively told Jenny Slate, Who knows? Because everything that has to do with Blake Lively is redacted. 1 week into filming on January 14th, Lively told Slate something else. This is probably where, oh, you don't need to hug them anymore. You don't need to hug. We're not hugging. We're here for hugs. We're here for... It's such a joke. Anyway, the rest is also redacted, but I guess they are showing that, Blake Lively was very comfortable. She was talking to some people, saying some stuff. Filming concluded on February 9th, 2024. So can you imagine? And in phase one, y'all, in phase one, we have to remember Blake Lively was only on set for 16 days in phase one. And all of that stuff happened. 16 days. I couldn't imagine. Then they go back to work for only less than 5 weeks. They film all of the sex scenes, all of the intimate scenes, all of the stuff, and everything was fine. And if you watch the movie It Ends With Us, there isn't a whole lot of like intimacy, kissing, sex. Like, if we didn't get here with the movie Baby Girl or like Die My Love or like any other movie, we're here for this Blake Lively for this movie. Lively exercised near total control over the second half of production, and then it's all redacted. So they can't say that, it was a terms of an employment contract or a breach of employment contract, because she didn't suffer anything in her employment. In fact, she gained more control and more power. Explain that. Lively used the influence of her famous friends to take over the film entirely. On or about February 22nd, 2024, Lively told Sony that she would not agree to promote the film unless she was permitted to participate in the edit. There is a text message submitted here from Justin Baldoni to, it looks like this would be, it's redacted, but I feel like this is all the production people. If you have a few minutes to meditate on another predicament, we got the call today that Blake won't promote the movie unless I let her into the edit with me. During the ensuing weeks, Lively told famous friends, blank again. She also did not hesitate to disparage Baldoni among her Hollywood crowd, describing him, for example, as, and then we won't see it, and I can't wait to see if these get redacted. Lively urged blank, as well as her famous friends, blank, and I'm sure that is to unfollow Justin Baldoni on social media. For instance, in April 26th, 2024, messages, Lively responds. So they got all of Blake Lively's messages, y'all, and it's not looking good, okay? And I know it's redacted, but they haven't been known to lie yet, okay? Lively also demanded changes to the film's credit, including blank, and removing a credit stating that It Ends With Us was a film by Baldoni altogether. Which brings us to Justin Baldoni's deposition, where he states, in their circle, Hugh Jackman, Sean Levy, Taylor Swift. That's who I said a few days ago, wasn't it? Those were the 3 people I thought for sure were there. That's who they always use. By that point, as I testified earlier, I was essentially forced or threatened to step down off my film. I wasn't able to finish my own film, even considering it tested higher. Somehow, the actress of my movie, who was not a producer, was able to take complete control of the film. By this point, Miss Lively had requested that my name be removed. So I had my A Film By credit removed. I was removed from the majority of marketing materials from the poster. I was being removed for the most from the trailer. I know that she had been working with Taylor Swift to make sure that she got that song that she wanted in the film. And I had assumed that that was not a battle or a fight that I could ever win. All of the cast had unfollowed me, which is a very public thing to do right before a movie comes out, all in unison. And at that time, I was being threatened via my agency that if I didn't release a statement, then the gloves would come off. Now, I don't know the exact sequence of the time in which I sent that text, but I will tell, then it cuts off. Now we have a whole bunch of redactions. Pages. The film's post-production supervisor wrote blank. Lively asserted blank. Josh Greenston, the president of Sony's Motion Picture Group, wrote blank. On July 7th, 2024, Lively told blank. The film premiered in New York City on August 6th, 2024, and it was released to the public on August 9th, 2024. What's so funny is in Blake Lively's deposition, they ask her when the film premiere was, and she doesn't even know. And this is obviously the biggest case of her life, you should have certain dates locked in. And one of them would be the premiere, where you had this man and his friends and family sitting in a freaking basement. Okay? Nobody puts Baldoni in a basement. On or about July 17th, 2023, during the filming hiatus and before presenting her protections demands, Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds unfollowed Baldoni on Instagram. After the conclusion of filming and leading up to the premiere, Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds openly attacked and disparaged Baldoni, seeking to tarnish his reputation in Hollywood, including among their famous and powerful friends, as well as with fellow cast members and in the media. For instance, and then it's blank, but I'm sure these are, they have this evidence that Ryan and Blake were talking to the media about this during the relevant time period. Then Greenberg even said in his deposition, look at all of that they have. On or about June 20th, 2024, a promotional event for the film was held at Book Bonanza, Hoover's annual romance book convention. Baldoni was not permitted to attend. And that is coming from Alex Sachs's own deposition. And let's not forget this text message that was in the timeline of relevant events. This happened to be just when they were editing the movie. And this is on May 2nd, where Jamie Heath gets a text from the Sony exec. We'll find out if they have it. I'm sure they have these text messages in all of their attachments, but a lot of stuff, again, is under seal. This text message, Jamie, I have blank on here too. Blank has gotten Blake to approve the trailer we want with our narration, the chair kick, the bruise, etc. Why would Blake have to approve a freaking trailer that has a chair kick and bruises? Like, she's an actor. Anyway, they gave her so much power. It disgusts me every time I read through this. And Blake is calling Taylor to approve the song. She, of course, just reached out saying she is asking for time with blank, her editor. We know it was conditional on signing contract, but asking if you will reconsider so we can release this trailer and Blake does not change her mind regarding calling Taylor Swift. Jamie Heath says, I'm available to talk on the phone. Call me if you're free. The Sony marketing exec says, you guys don't want to play ball. You are going to delay and greatly hurt the movie. Good luck. This is only if you want to make this date. We are going to need to push. Finish director cut and we can have multiple previews down the road. What? And even in 2024, after Blake Lively does all of this, after the list of protections, after all of this, still in May of 2024, Baldoni and Colleen Hoover are at a Sony studio promoting the film together. So when did Colleen Hoover exactly change her mind and follow Blake Lively? Book Bonanza. And here's some pictures of all of them, super cheeky at Book Bonanza. Yeah, having so much fun. And it literally says, okay, that Sony later notified Wayfarer that it was Blake Lively who reached out to Brandon and Isabella, and she paid for their travel and lodging. Because remember, it was already in a contract a year before that it would be Justin Baldoni attending Book Bonanza with Colleen Hoover. This just happened to be the exact same time where Justin Baldoni ended up in the hospital because of all of this stress. Absolutely horrible. Then there are text messages here underneath from the editor that says, looks fun. By the way, picture was supposed to get locked this week. Did that happen? Just curious what version is going out into the world with all of our names on it. Justin Baldoni, I'll watch soon. No idea regarding the picture. Evidently, they are all at Book Bonanza. He writes, oh boy, Justin Baldoni. But second test didn't go any better. Over 35 went down and under stayed the same. I guess Sony asked for more changes to get it closer to our cut, but I haven't watched. They are showing it at Book Bonanza. The editor says, the whole movie? Yep, hers. Wow. Was supposed to be ours and then I was uninvited. Whole thing is pretty cruel and intense. Editor, uneffing believable. So sorry, Justin. I love you both. Then they write back, love you, love you. I just hope you love or at least can stomach the cut that is going out into the world. Justin writes, haven't seen it. Can't wait. In July, Lively excluded Baldoni from a marketing shoot for the film conducted by her husband's marketing company, Maximum Effort, and that is in Greenberg's testimony. His little deposition. Lively and others at Sony were aware that the media, including social media, was picking up on Lively's efforts to alienate Baldoni from the cast and film while generating adverse publicity about Baldoni. For instance, and then it's blank, of course. But everyone was picking up on it. I mean, it wasn't hard, right? Lively took steps to exclude Baldoni from the premiere of his own film. And this is, I just can't even believe it, because she went back to filming. Everything was fine. She improv'd herself kisses and all of this stuff. She was still texting him. She was still cool with them when they wrapped. There's text messages of it. She never changed her stance until she was able to get into the edit room and create her own demands. Once she got into that edit room, she never left. She replaced the composer. She replaced the editors. She made a whole bunch of threats. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And Sony is just as much to blame as everybody else, as Colleen Hoover, is all of the actors that stood by and stood for them and turned their back on Justin, as everyone, because who gives someone this much power when it's not even their film? On or about July 22nd, 2024, Danny Greenberg from WME got something in writing. Ultimately, Baldoni and the Wayfarer team were not allowed to be on the red carpet during the premiere, except during specified times when Lively was not present. Baldoni and his team were also required to wait in a basement while Lively conducted her red carpet pictures and then view the film on a separate screen. And now let's not forget exactly where they had them sitting in this basement. Obviously, it was set up for them. There's popcorn and Coca-Cola. They're all dressed up. This is the director of the movie. This is also the people and company that paid millions of dollars. Look at the room. I mean, the ceiling is falling apart. There's cases of Coke and stuff around. This is absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, who does this to someone? Ew, ew, ew. And it's all because she wanted the spotlight to herself, and she wanted to make sure that Justin Baldoni knew she was in charge, that her and her husband were big, powerful dragons. Baldoni, Heath, and Wayfarer retained a crisis PR firm to assist and advise them in the face of growing adverse media attention. For years prior to the events at issue, Jennifer Abel, a public relations professional, had worked with Wayfarer and Baldoni on PR matters. Wayfarer and Baldoni were concerned that any adverse media would harm the reception and success of the film. And this is coming from other people's deposition, and also Jamie Heath's, of course. Even as the negative press intensified, Wayfarer gave Abel and her colleagues explicit instructions to not place any story that was negative about Blake Lively or otherwise. Our main focus was to mitigate the negative press that was breaking organically from the press tour. And that is from Abel's deposition. Which brings us to Jennifer Abel's deposition, part of course, but they are talking about a text from Melissa Nathan to her, which came from James, I guess. And she writes, wasn't it his story? No, it's not his name. Ours is way better. Do you see that? Says Gottlieb. Yes, meaning our story is that Miss Nathan is communicating. Again, it could be one of the contributed to, meaning we weren't getting incoming commentary, asking for commentary. We were balancing stories left and right. You really were not told that Tag was placing a story with the Daily Mail? No, I was not. And actually, I would like to add to that not only were we not told, we were given explicit instructions from our client to not place any story that was negative about Blake or otherwise. Our main focus was to mitigate the negative press that was breaking organically from the press tour. Miss Abel, on the next page with 520 at the top, do you see a text message between Miss Nathan and James Fetuska? And then it cuts off. How many times do they have to say over and over and over that they were told not to do anything by Wayfarer? It's literally in their own text messages in real time, and yet they brought it all the way to deposition. It's just so madness. We continue. On July 24th, 2024, Heath and Abel agreed that, in response to the swirling press rumors, and since the one is under seal in the court dockets, but you can't hide from me, in the timeline of relative events, the same day, and there's something here between Jamie Heath, Jones Works, Jennifer Abel, and I'm pretty sure this is the message, but I'm not sure, but this is the same day and it has Jennifer Abel and Jamie Heath. And in this email, it does say, Jamie and blank, appreciate you both keeping us in the loop and updated in real time regarding the potential situation. Just wanted to send a friendly reminder if you could please share with us the legal letter that was sent by Blake Lively and her team. Per our conversation, we will go through point by point and draft context surrounding each situation. We can then flag what we are missing. That would be helpful to arm us in case we need to refute any of the claims. Jamie, understand that you are also compiling info on the various incidences, which will be helpful to ensure we are in the know on everything. We will need potential witnesses, locations, context, people who could be in our corner to speak on background to refute any claims and provide additional color surrounding the atmosphere on set. To reiterate our strategy, we should not do anything proactive that could light our own fire unnecessarily. While it isn't ideal to be on the defense, due to the ambiguity and uncertainty of what could potentially be claimed, we will just need to be prescriptive in immediately refuting whatever is made public with facts. So they're already saying, like, let's gear up, let's get everything together, because even if she does claim something, we will refute it with facts, with the truth, with evidence, okay? And it's not great to be on the defense, that's what they're saying, but we don't want to be proactive on the offense either. So our strategy is to take the defense, to arm ourselves in case anything comes to us that we could defend ourselves with. That's it. Oh my gosh. Third-party sourcing on background, and if necessary, a legal response. Please keep us posted on where conversations net out with Sony and the premiere. Until then, we are moving forward business as usual. I communicated this previously, but just to arm you further in your conversations, it's an easy thing to orchestrate a staggered arrival to ensure there is no crossing of paths on the carpet, screening, and Justin Baldoni can easily skip the after party. Here for any questions in the meantime, and we will stand by. Thank you, Jennifer Abel. On or about July 25th, 2024, Baldoni and Heath met with TAG, Melissa, and Nathan's PR firm to discuss the possibility of retaining the firm for crisis PR. That comes from Case's deposition. A TAG employee's notes from that meeting state that Wayfarer was not going to fire offensive bullets, but wanted to have a strategy. Again, reiterating the same, how many times they gotta say it over and over and over. On July 26th, 2024, TAG circulated a proposed scope of work. It included providing support for Baldoni and others with independent strategic counsel, curating statements, background information, and talking points for the press, reflecting Wayfarer's core values, key messaging, and the integral role that they played to bring this film to life, developing a scenario planning document, identifying third-party validators, working to mitigate negative stories, correct inaccuracies, and monitoring coverage, as well as providing input on press strategies and media training. Doesn't sound so bad. Sounds like regular PR to me. And now this brings us to Melissa Nathan's deposition, or the excerpt which we get. Starts with the lawyer questioning. Okay, do you see in the overview how the document says, there are several potential scenarios at play here, which we should be prepared for should Blake Lively and her team make her grievances public? Yes. Blake Lively and her team refers to Blake Lively and her team? Yes. Who did you understand Miss Lively's team to be at this time? Leslie Sloan and her publicist. Okay, who else besides Leslie Sloan did you understand to be part of Miss Lively's team? I didn't know anyone else. Okay, do you see the next sentence says, given she was made to compromise with the premiere, we feel she will move forward with doing so. Do you see that? Yes. It was Tag's view that you all believe that Miss Lively and her team would make her grievances public. Again, this is scenario planning, so this is a possibility. This is not definite. Right. I mean, the scenarios, I didn't really ask you if you thought it was definite that she should do so. I'm just saying what you're describing here is this first paragraph is there are scenarios that we need to be prepared for should she make her grievances public. Absolutely. And then we believe, given that she was made to compromise with the premiere, that she would move forward with doing so. Do you see that? Yes. So all I'm asking you is, it was your view, or Tag's view at least at that time, that Miss Lively was going to make her grievances public. Is that right? No, she could. You keep on saying that it's my view. This is like she could have made it. Yes, that's right. You give it to them. I mean, they'll try to trick you every which way that they possibly can, right? Especially in any kind of arbitration, any kind of depositions. The op is the op. Like, the opposition is going to try to trick you as many times as possible. And that's why it's just honestly the best policy is to tell the truth. Definitely. Because if they have evidence to prove otherwise, I mean, or they'll try to ask you the same question so many different times. When you have the truth on your side, you just know it. Okay. You just know it. And based off Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and Steve Saritz's bomb deposition, they have the truth on their side, okay? The unbothered kings. On July 30th, 2024, Wayfarer president Tara Hanks wrote to Stephanie Jones. Wayfarer hired Tag and Nathan on August 2nd, 2024. On August 2nd, 2024, Tag circulated a scenario planning document listing a series of possible options for responding to the public relations crisis facing Baldoni and Wayfarer. Nathan has testified that document was not an approved action plan, but only a preliminary document for the purposes of scenario planning, with each suggestion being only a possibility. This is not definite. This is a scenario planning, so this is a possibility. This is not definite. Now, we've all seen the scenario planning, but if you'd like to see it again, I'm going to put it on the screen for you. I'm not going to go over it with you, but it'll freshen your mind up a little bit. I will say the only thing in there is one point that has to do with Blake Lively. Everything else has to do with protecting Justin Baldoni, Wayfarer, and their reputation. So, I mean, even the scenario planning document, I think they're taking it a little bit too far. On August 4th, 2024, Tag employees exchanged messages discussing blank because they blank, and attached is the Wayfarer studio scenario planning. Hi y'all, as promised, sending the scenario planning document here before our call. Looking forward to discussing this in great detail and to the group's thoughts and feedback. Thank you. Justin wrote, just read, please note this is my third film as a director, not my first. Get it right, get it tight, you know? In the days after the premiere, negative press against Baldoni intensified. On or about August 7th, 2024, additional cast members unfollowed Baldoni on social media as Lively's prompting. Lively, so remember when I think it was a couple months ago, Baldoni and Wayfarer came out in one of their motions to the judge and said, on information and belief, Blake Lively told the cast to unfollow it. Now they know for sure. At Lively's prompting, she told the other cast to unfollow Justin Baldoni. How high school do you have to be? Like, ugh, it's just so immature. And the attachment for this says text message chain. So I think these are texts from Blake Lively. On August 8th, 2024, The Hollywood Reporter, who has ties with our Ari Emanuel, published an article entitled, Did Blake Lively, Justin Baldoni have a rift over It Ends With Us? Sleuthing TikTokers think so. The article discussed Baldoni being excluded from the press for the film and unfollowed by Lively and other cast members. On or about August 8th, so same day, Lively's PR rep, Leslie Sloan, blank. Sloan testified, blank. Dang. Sloan, look at all the stuff Sloan testified. Pages of stuff. pages, and I bet all of this stuff is her talking to different media outlets, guaranteed. The same day Sloan was at it again. I mean, Sloan planted all of those stories. Heath, Abel, and Nathan did not want to add fuel to the fire by prompting additional adverse media. In particular, they told Jones not to contact the press about Lively. Upon learning that Jones had done so on August 9th, Heath wrote to Jones. Comes from Stephanie Jones saying, "And we all know I would never ever say Blake is to blame. I'll contact Sony Comms now. I know this isn't true. Jamie Heath, do not contact anyone at all right now. Contact, sorry. I'm just being direct, but I need it to be direct. I don't want any messaging with anyone right now, so I'm officially needing that to be understood. Stephanie motherfucking Jones. To clarify again, I have not spoken to Daily Mail. The above isn't true. I also don't believe blank or blank at Sony are saying that above. Quote, has always had spaces as if it was just being drafted. I am not contacting press, but it is concerning if blank or blank are saying I have escalated this as I haven't even touched this. I am going to contact them. Jamie Heath, Stephanie, as your client and as the one who pays for your services, I am stating do not contact anyone regarding Wayfarer or Sony at this time. If you do after this text, it will be a major problem. This needs to be respected now. But we all know she didn't do that, right? Because then VANZAN and the illegal messages and oh my gosh. Anyway, on August 9th, 2024, the Daily Mail published an article entitled Disturbing Truth Behind Why Blake Lively and her It Ends With Us stars are feuding with Justin Baldoni. This was written by James Vistuska, the Daily Mail reporter who's been up in here, and Lillian Gisson. Disturbing truth behind why Blake Lively and her It Ends With Us stars are feuding with Justin Baldoni. That article quoted sources asserting Baldoni was chauvinistic and borderline abusive on set. It also noted that rumors of a vicious feud between Lively and Baldoni had been swirling for weeks, with online sleuths highlighting how the on-screen love interests were not pictured together at the U.S. premiere, while some cast members have blatantly swerved questions about the director. That day, Lively's agent wrote to Lively, and then it's redacted. Wayfarer hires street relations to monitor social media. On August 7th, 2024, Abel wrote to Nathan, I think we really need to put the social combat plan into motion. She noted that she was waiting on a green light from Heath to do so. So still up until August 7th, nothing had been done on that stupid scenario planning that Lively keeps using. On August 8th, 2024, Nathan proposed a quote for a new scope of work that included additional social media engagement. On or about August 9th, 2024, Wayfarer engaged Jed Wallace's firm Street Relations to monitor the social media discussions concerning Lively, Baldoni, and the film. Jed Wallace has testified that his firm did not surreptitiously spread negative information about Lively and has no ability to do so. Lively suffered backlash. Ooh, did she ever? In August 2024, Baldoni himself repeatedly made positive comments about Lively in the press. Melissa Nathan confirmed to Sloan that she was not blank, and then it's her deposition. This is from Sloan's deposition too. So Sloan confirmed that Melissa Nathan was not probably planting stories about Blake Lively. On August 8th, 2024, Nathan also told her own sister, gossip reporter Sarah Nathan, that she had not contacted reporters on Baldoni's behalf and did not intend to do so. Hello? Oh my gosh. Like, how many times do they have to be told? It's just so wild at this point. As of August 11th, 2024, nothing. On August 11th, 2024, the New York Times published an article entitled, What It Ends With Us Says About the Blake Lively Brand. What It Ends With Us says about the Blake Lively brand. Pretty interesting that even the New York Times picked up on how absolute tone deaf the marketing campaign was for Blake Lively and had no issue talking about Blake Lively's horrible maximum effort Ryan Reynolds PR strategy, but then also published the story in December saying that it was a smear campaign. Well, if it was a smear campaign, sweetheart, then who paid you, New York Times, in August? The article discussed Lively's efforts to cross-promote the film and her personal hair care and alcohol brands, as well as her husband's brand of gin. For instance, it stated a promotional email explained how to make It Ends With Us inspired cocktails using Betty Buzz. One recipe called for Reynolds' gin. It's a cheery gimmick that seems awkwardly out of the step with the context of the film itself, which tells the story of a woman dealing with domestic violence. Lively's performance is almost beside the point. Lively has transformed the project into film as commerce. There is no evidence that defendants played any role in this article. No, there isn't. On August 13th, 2024, and then it's redacted. So even at this point, the New York Times is writing stories about Blake Lively's own failed PR strategy, and Wayfarer didn't give the New York Times that story. But then a few months later, the same publishing company, the New York Times, can write about how Wayfarer smeared her and was getting an astroturfing campaign when they actually put out their own stories. How hypocritical. That is absolutely crazy. Also on August 13th, Nathan privately observed to Abel that there was a completely unsolicited story from TMZ. Blake has a huge ego. Justin Baldoni was liked by many cast and crew, and this is her ego being bruised. Abel responded, "Not from any of us, obviously." Nathan agreed, "Totally not from us." Abel concluded, "These are clearly people on set coming out to defend Baldoni, which is good, and we just let them do their thing." The same day, Lively wrote to another male cast member. The cast member responded, "Another male cast member. Who could that be? There's only two of them, Brandon Sklenar and Hassan Minhaj." So Hassan Minhaj and Justin Baldoni are very close because in December of 2024, before the CRD and the New York Times dropped, Hassan was the one to present Justin Baldoni with a big award for his work in all of this kind of stuff that he does with, women and violence and stuff. On or about August 19th, 2024, it's redacted. That is from WME themselves. Prior to these events, Lively had been criticized for, why is that redacted? I mean, it's criticized for her behavior, her attitude, her past, her marriage, her plantation. I mean, what? Lively deposition even admits it in her deposition transcript. Prior to these events, Lively had also been criticized for problematic on-set behavior while working on the TV show Gossip Girl. Lively's third amended responses to the Wayfarer Studios LLC's second set of interrogatories, number 21, at 15, referring to January 7th, 2024 video. These criticisms resurfaced in August of 2024. Yeah, they did, okay? And it wasn't because of Wayfarer. It literally, you just look at the interview and you can see it. For instance, and then it's all redacted, all of this stuff that was coming out about Blake Lively. As negative sentiment toward Lively accelerated, Baldoni asked his PR team to confirm that it was not using bots or fake accounts to generate positive sentiment for him online. Abel and Nathan both confirmed that they were not using bots or fake accounts. On August 19th, 2024, Baldoni asked Nathan about the negative sentiment toward Lively online. He wrote, "This is not us, correct?" Nathan responded, "None of us would ever do this. There is this struggle where it's kind of maybe even unbelievable the way that people are turning against her, but they are. Organically. It's organic. She's blown herself up by her own actions." Then they cite articles describing Lively's past use of a transgender slur. This just ran. Obviously, none of us knew about this either, but once media goes in, they go in. You did not do any of this. We did not do any of this. This is all organic. And they literally have those real life text messages. On August 27th, 2024, Baldoni privately discussed with Nathan that he had no intention to make Lively or anyone else an outcast, and told Nathan he was praying for Lively and Reynolds. And we have those text messages here from Melissa Nathan with Justin Baldoni. Melissa Nathan starts, "In my humble opinion, you have a lot of trauma too from the pressure of the months of holding on to what could be to what actually ended up happening, and now the aftermath, which honestly you've come off really well, and everyone I speak to is on your side. I do, but I promise you, everyone I speak to, and so many just chat that don't even know I'm on this, are all pro you. I know that it's not your intention either to make her or anyone else an outcast, but the sentiment is pro you. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate it. Praying for them has been helpful. It's all you can do, truly. And this was sent on August 27th. The entire month he was being attacked. He was still removed from his film. He had to sit in a basement, etc., etc., etc. And he's still saying, praying for them has been helpful. On August 27th, 2024, Baldoni wrote to Heath, Nathan, and Abel, definitely don't want to play stories and yet just want to change the narrative. Heath subsequently responded, let's stay the course and not react. Abel agreed. We want to keep our participation with press to a minimum and keep steering the narrative into other things where we can. Lively and her husband spread negative information about Baldoni and worked to kill negative stories about Lively. And then look at all the redactions of all of the evidence they have. And this is coming straight from subpoenas and or Leslie Sloan's very own deposition. On August 15th, 2024, Sloan wrote to another gossip reporter asking him to change the wording of a headline about the feud between Baldoni and Lively. After reviewing the article, and then we have the article was changed. But look at all of the press that Leslie Sloan said that she was doing. I mean, it's pages of redactions. During this period, defendants believed that Lively's press team was spreading negative information about Baldoni and using bots. Lively's team was, and then they have evidence, or they believe that that's the evidence. Lively failed to uncover proof that defendants spread false information about her. During this litigation, Lively responded to interrogatories seeking identification of the ways in which defendants supposedly seeded social media content to increase negative sentiment toward Lively. Lively's third amended responses to Wayfarer Studios LLC's second set of interrogatories, number 21, was October 17th, 2025. Nearly half the incidences Lively identifies are devoid of any negative content about Lively and merely claim that defendants either suppress content about Mr. Baldoni or enhance positive content regarding Mr. Baldoni. Lively's third amended responses to Wayfarer Studios' second set of interrogatories include Baldoni's effort to focus his press and promotion for the film on the issue of domestic violence and to boost videos by others showing his promotion of the film. That's not smearing Blake Lively. That's promoting his own work on the film. That's crazy. And then the rest is all redacted. Lively also points to incidences in which certain defendants spoke to the press about Lively herself, but none of these incidences involved sharing any factual falsehoods about Lively. Instead, they involved pointing out true facts about Lively or her husband's conduct or sharing negative opinions of that conduct. Third amended responses to Wayfarer Studios LLC, number 21, October 17th, 2025. Lively has not put forward any evidence to suggest the little bump video is not genuine or that defendants had any contact with the reporter in that video, who we all know as Flossom Talk. And yeah, there's no evidence, there's no proof that it didn't happen. That just completely came organic. I totally believe Miss Flaw when she said that she knew there was a lot of buzz about Blake Lively and she had this video and she just put it out. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't put it out? You're just going to sit on that? I don't think so. Saritz played no role in marketing the film or Wayfarer's publicity strategy. Saritz was not involved in marketing the film and did not review any of the marketing materials for the film created by Wayfarer Studios. This is another thing that teased me off about Mr. Ryan Reynolds running to the court asking for more sanctions. They're asking for sanctions because he was pulled into a litigation that's like frivolous and not meritless, and he didn't do the stuff that they claimed, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact that they have all of the Wayfarer parties lumped in together, you're also saying that Saritz was aiding and abetting, he did the sexual harassment, he did all of this stuff. It's like, you're doing this same thing to them that you want sanctions for, and like my brain just can't handle that because that was obviously a PR move. It had nothing to do with the case. Saritz was not involved in the marketing of the film, and did not review any of the marketing materials for the film created by Wayfarer Studios. Seritz did not participate in any respect in any of the preparation in advance of Baldoni's interviews regarding the release of It Ends With Us. Seritz himself participated in certain interviews in August 2024, but did not do any media interviews in conjunction with the release of It Ends With Us in the first couple of weeks of August 2024. Seritz was not involved in hiring any PR team for Wayfarer. Steve Seritz is like, yo, I'll pay for everything, but get me out of here. Seritz was not asked his opinion on hiring the agency group. He did not vet the agency group. He did not approve the hiring of street relations. He was not consulted before they were hired. There is no evidence that Steve Seritz received or reviewed the scenario planning document. There is no evidence that Seritz ever spoke to Jed Wallace or any employees of street relation. In her interrogatory response, Lively has identified each instance in which the defendants purportedly spread negative information about her. Lively's third amended responses to Wayfarer Studios. The interrogatory response does not identify any specific instance in which Seritz himself was involved in circulating any information about Lively whatsoever prior to this litigation, and only one instance in which he weighed in on press strategy concerning Lively, and then it's blank. And that's, of course, when he was saying, well, why don't we just tell people that Ryan Reynolds rewrote the rooftop scene, because he said it was horrible and women shouldn't write and they can't write for the female gaze. And they never really ended up using that, but I think that's the only time we have Seritz saying anything about this situation. And then we have a ton of redactions. Seritz had a call with Claire AYOUB on August 29th, 2024, which AYOUB recorded. Secretly recorded, to say the least. During the conversation, Seritz stated the following: "The It Ends With Us drama is simply that. It is drama. I'm done with it. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. You know, whatever is going to happen. Whatever people want to think they are going to think. I was worried about it at one point, and now I'm just going to let the chips fall where they may. If they like us, great. If they don't, they don't. We are who we are." He further stated, "They went after everything we had. Luckily, I was out of it, so nobody mentioned me. That's because I'm a nobody." I'm nobody, you know? He further stated, "Justin never had a bad set, yet it was the worst set he has ever been on. But no, it wasn't bad. It was there. I was there on set. It was, Justin is really kind and loving, and he is like Rain. Actually, Rain is running a set. It is like a Baja set. It is never going to be like that. No, everything was made up. It was manufactured, and it was manufactured on purpose in order to take Justin down." He also stated, "I just know that for right now, it seems like detente. And then if they persist and they push to the limits, then they will go to court, and then it's all on me." In response to a question by AYOUB as to whether he meant protecting the studio, Seritz replied, "I will protect the studio like Isn't Real protected itself from Yemen. There were 39,000 dead bodies. There will be 2 dead bodies when I'm done. And so not dead, but you're like dead to me. So that kind of dead, but not like dead to a lot of people. If they ever get me to that point, then I will make it worth their while, because I'm going to spend a lot of money to make sure the studio is protected. But I don't think we will go there." Yeah, I hope not. And Seritz stated, "That's not the world I want to live in." Seritz further stated, "This is not going to go away. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. We will have to be defensive for years because there will be stuff coming at us. I will be defensive for years." When Seritz said that, he meant that he would defend Wayfarer Studios. Seritz further stated, "If they ever cross the line, then I will go after them. Jamie at one point called me up and said, 'I think we're going to need you. And we have lawyers ready to go, and we have our press people, our PR people working.'" Seritz further commented, "You work with so many people and almost everyone is nice. And then there is Blake, she is just totally different than everyone. Not to say anything bad about her, but she's just different. She's different." So even there, he wasn't saying anything bad about her. He's just saying she's different, Lively obtained documents through a sham subpoena, abusing judicial process to serve her own ends. Then look at the redactions when it comes to VANZAN. On or about October 1st, 2024, taking advantage of New York rules that permit discovery even before issue has been joined, and of the fact that no defendants have been named who could thereby invoke the court's process on their behalf, redacted. Such requests were made even though the complaint did not refer to the film or Jones' works at all. That's so bad. It's like so shady, so unethical, so illegal. It's done by her same lawyers now. I mean, it's crazy that they thought they were really going to get away with this. The filing of the lawsuit and the issuance of the subpoena created a legal mechanism by which Lively, through VANZAN, could ostensibly claim to legitimately obtain the documents Joan had found on Abels's iPhone. Absent a court's compulsory process, Jones could not simply turn over the records she found on one of her employees' phones. Redacted. VANZAN voluntarily dismissed the case on December 19, 2024, without any defendant ever appearing in the action. On December 21, 2024, the New York Times published a 4,000-word article entitled "We Can Bury Anyone Inside a Smear Machine." The article cited documents from Abels's phone that VANZAN had obtained by invoking the court's process in a case against 10 anonymous Doe defendants. It appears that Jones agreed to turn over the documents without any protective order or measure to prevent their disclosure. The New York Times article asserted that Baldoni and Heath had violated physical boundaries and made sexual and other inappropriate comments to, and then instituted a retaliatory smear campaign against Lively. The New York Times article included a link to Lively's California state admin complaint, which had been filed the previous day. Okay, and then it's redacted. Through the administrative complaint she provided, Lively and or her agents told the New York Times and other media that Baldoni had abruptly pivoted away from the agreed on marketing for the film to emphasize his support for survivors of domestic violence. That statement is false, okay? And then you have the "It Ends With Us" initial campaign concepts, which is currently redacted, but we all know that was false regardless, okay? Through the administrative complaint she provided, Lively and her agents told the New York Times and other media outlets that Baldoni and Wayfarer had not used nudity writers or intimacy coordinators on set until her intervention. That statement is false. Through the administrative complaint she provided, Lively and her agents told the New York Times and other media outlets Baldoni had suggestively told Lively her neck smells so good during a shot. Video captured of the scene demonstrates that statement was false. Through the administrative complaint she provided, Lively and her agents told the New York Times and other media outlets Baldoni had routinely degraded Miss Lively by finding back-channel ways of criticizing her body and weight, including by pretending a scene in the script required him to lift Lively so he could ask her trainer about her weight, and by referring Lively to a weight loss specialist. That statement was false. And then there's some redactions. Lively negotiated every aspect of her work but never reached an agreement. The offer letter. I mean, yeah, we all know the story in the New York Times. There are so many lies once we got the truth. Anyway, the offer letter. The offer letter. As discussed above, formal negotiations regarding the terms governing Lively's potential performance in It Ends With Us commenced in mid-December 2022 when Magnan sent Lively's reps a draft offer letter under which Lively would agree to perform in the role of Lily Bloom in the film. The first draft of the offer letter defined producer as Wayfarer Studios or their designated production service entity. On April 25, 2023, Lively's lawyers revised the offer letter to find producers as It Ends With Us movie, an entity that Lively's reps understood was Wayfarer's designated production service entity for the film. The offer letter set forth basic parameters of the anticipated agreement, which endured throughout the drafting process. Lively's loan-out company, Blakel Inc., defined as lender, would agree to furnish Lively to perform in the role of Lily on specified dates. Lively would also receive top billing and an executive producer credit. In exchange for this and other consideration to Lively, It Ends With Us movie, ultimately defined as producer, would pay Lively a substantial upfront fee to be placed in an escrow account held by Lively's agent, WME, before filming could commence, plus compensation based on the performance of the film and other contingencies. Following several months of negotiations and exchanges on drafts, the offer letter was finalized in early May 2023 and dated March 17, 2023. The offer letter did not contain any terms regarding sexual harassment. Wayfarer itself, as opposed to It Ends With Us movie, undertook no obligations under the offer letter. The offer letter expressly and unambiguously provided that full execution of a long-form agreement to be subsequently negotiated was a condition precedent to It Ends With You movie's obligations thereunder, stating, conditions precedent. Producers' obligations to artists hereunder shall be subject to the satisfaction of the following: A. Artists qualifying for CAS and other insurance, which may include essential element insurance, and B. Full execution by artist, lender, and producer of an agreement in a form reasonably acceptable to all parties, unless and until lender artist are unconditionally pay or play and 100% of the fee is in escrow. Lender and artist are not obligated hereunder, and artist is free to take conflicting engagements. Once we reach an agreement on the above terms, we will be happy to distribute a long-form agreement, incorporating the terms herein and other standard terms and conditions to be negotiated in good faith. The unexecuted actor loan-out agreement. On May 8, 2023, outside counsel for It Ends With Us movie, Joseph Lanius, sent Lively's attorney a draft of the actor loan-out agreement, the long-form agreement referred to in the offer letter. The parties in the draft to the ALA were It Ends With Us movie and Blakel Inc., with an inducement to be signed by Lively, the artist. The first section of the draft ALA referred expressly to conditions precedent, stating that conditions precedent to a company's obligations under this agreement included company's receipt of executed copies of this agreement signed by lender and artist, as well as receipt of the inducement attached hereto and incorporated herein by this reference, fully executed by lender and artist. An inducement provision included that at the end of the draft provided that Blake Lively would be personally bound by the terms of the ALA. It further provided that for the purposes of any and all workers' compensation statutes, laws, or regulations, an employment relationship exists between It Ends With Us movie and myself. It Ends With Us movie being my special employer under the agreement. Therefore, Wayfarer had nothing to do with it. It was Blakel Inc., Blake Lively, and It Ends With Us movie. The draft ALA contained an entire agreement provision which provided that a document setting forth standard terms would be included as part of the ALA and stated, this agreement, including the standard terms, constitutes the entire understanding of the parties hereto and replaces any and all former agreements, understandings, and representations relating in any way to the subject matter hereof. No modification, alterations, or amendment to this agreement shall be valid or binding unless it is in writing and signed by both parties. The standard terms attached as Exhibit A contained numerous provisions designed to protect It Ends With Us movie, including a notice and cure provision titled Company's Breach, which ruled out any breach in the event of cure, as well as express damages limitation, which ruled out any consequential damages. So there's company breach. No act or omission of company hereunder shall constitute an event of default or breach of this agreement unless artist shall first notify the company in writing setting forth such alleged breach or default, and company shall not cure the same within 30 days of receipt. Limitations on damages. In no event will any party hereto, company and or artist, be liable for or have any obligation to pay to the other consequential and or incidental and or special and or punitive damages all of which are expressly included, and company and lender and artist each hereby waive any right to recover any such damages from the other. This is real good. This is real good. The standard terms contained an additional merger provision, which also included non-waiver language. The standard terms also contained a lender and artist remedies provision stating inter alia that the rights and remedies of lender and artist in the event of any breach by company of this agreement or any of the company's obligation hereunder shall be limited to the lender and or artist's right to recover damages, if any, in one or more arbitration proceedings. They're going to have a really hard time fighting this because depending on what contract they say was actually in place, there's so many other things attached to that one contract. So the fact that there was an offer letter, the fact that within that offer letter, they did say that they wanted the long form agreement, the fact that the long form agreement was never signed, plus the long form agreement has a lot of things when it comes to do with compensation, damages, suing, sexual harassment, any kind of thing like that. And now they're going to try to use the 17-point list of demands. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know how they're going to get around this. The standard terms require that any notices to It Ends With Us movie be in writing and addressed to It Ends With Us movie, attention, Jamie Heath. The first phase of filming It Ends With Us began on May 15th, 2022, with the ALA still unsigned and no agreement reached on its final terms. It Ends With Us movie was not asked to and did not pay for any medical insurance for Lively. So she wasn't an employee. That's what they're trying to say. She was an independent contractor, Your Honor. Therefore, kiss this case goodbye. The ALA was never executed. Lively and her team negotiated every aspect of her work, dictating numerous terms and conditions, including minute details such as the right to exercise pre-approval over the days when shoots would take place in locations other than New Jersey, as well as her travel and accommodations in those locations, the financial bonuses she would receive if the film hit certain benchmarks, the credits she would receive for her work, including an executive producer credit, the identity of her makeup artist, wig maker, and body double, the ability to offer a meaningful consultation over the look of the role, ad campaign and release patterns, and the time she would spend on set and traveling to and from her home in New York each day, and even approval over the screenplay, the director, and her co-lead actor. Nonetheless, although the parties negotiated for more than a year, Lively never signed any long-form agreement setting out the complete term of her engagement with the film. There's a lot of redactions. At no point during the negotiations did either side suggest changes to the entire agreement provision, the company's breach provision, and the non-waiver provision or the limitation on damages provision, nor did Lively ever seek to add Wayfarer as a party to the draft agreement, nor was Wayfarer ever made a party or signatory to the draft agreement. Lively refused to sign the ALA. June 1st, 2024, text from Baldoni stating she won't sign her contract. There's a bunch of text here between Stephanie motherfucking Jones, Jennifer Abel, Justin Baldoni, and Jamie Heath, I believe. They're just talking about going back and forth a little bit. Now, this is on May 1st, 2024. Justin says, I want my agents to see as well, so maybe the three of them can see it together. Just say I would like the three of them to see it. Great. Walking into the office, I'll send a note shortly. Do you have the edit from Blake yet? From Jennifer Abel. Justin says she won't sign her contract or approve the trailer. She's gone dark until she gets another 8 days with her own editor. So we are in a standoff. Stephanie Jones, stop it right now. I've already given her 10 days with my editor. Steph, you have no idea. Steph, it's such unacceptable but not surprising behavior. Justin. So Jamie has gone back and forth and said she can have the extra 8 days to get her ideas out, but she has to sign her contract. But then we all know that then she didn't sign her contract, right? And how freaking interesting for Stephanie motherfucking Jones to be like, no way, that's shocking but not surprising. And then goes and works with her. Like, these women are so crazy. Anyway, she didn't sign her contract. There's tons of redactions here, which I'm sure, wow, look, pages of it, which I'm sure is about Sony, is about Blake not signing it, communications from Blake, etc., etc. Lively never signed the ALA or the inducement. Lively sued without providing notice and an opportunity to cure. Lively's rep sent a cease and desist letter addressed to certain defendants and others on December 20th. The letter was not addressed to It Ends With Us movie. The cease and desist letter alleged inter alia that the addresses had breached the protections for return to production and or Lively's contract writer. The cease and desist letter did not allege any independent breach of the ALA. Lively filed her initial complaint in this action on December 31st, 2024. Lively's damages are barred. Then they have all of her damages, which we already saw because, we saw them already, so I don't know why she wants to have that blocked. But then that's the end. We made it. The fact that Wayfarer already knew about the contract issues, they already knew all the evidence they had, they knew where they were kind of going. I feel like since the beginning, for them to sit back and go through everything they went through all summer and be completely smeared and torn apart, their entire lives invaded, their privacy invaded, and just like sit back and like watch Blake and Ryan and know that they had the truth on their side, know that they weren't going to find anything, like let Blake go through discovery, give them all of this stuff, here you go, here's everything, and then just to be like, poof, that's bravery. I mean, that's amazing. I don't know a lot of people that wouldn't have fought this tooth and nail, screaming from the rooftops of their innocence, and instead they were just like, nope, we got this, right? Like we have our faith, our family, our friends, and the truth behind us. And now they have all of the people, or I mean, damn near. There's still some, you know what I'm saying? There are some people that will never change their mind. The evidence could be so clean and clear, and it will turn out in Wayfarer's favor. And still people with their last breath will say that Blake was right. You know what I'm saying? You can't change everyone. But anyway, this is it, guys. We made it to the end. What I'm going to do is I want to make 2 more videos on this. I want to go through all the depositions because I feel like there were still things that were missed, as well as I really want to read the new screenplay, the original, before Blake and Ryan got their hands on it. And a few other things I just want to go over because there is like hundreds of attachments and I don't think we got to see all the meat and potatoes, with the reading. So I'm just going to go through all of that. I'll make videos as I do it, and hopefully I'll be able to get into some deep dives I've been meaning to get into this week. I hope y'all are having a great week and you're still rocking with me and you're here. And yeah, let me know what you think about all of this. We shall find out what's going to happen in the next few days, okay? Have a great night. I love you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.